Om Shri Krishna Sharanam Mama Gopika Jeevana Smaranam Govinda Govinda Sadgurunath Maharaj Ki Jai. Shuklam Bharadaram Vishnum Shashivarnam Chaturbhujam Prasanna Dhyaye Sarva Vignopashantaye. Namo Namah Sadgurubhyo Namo Namah. Namo Namah Sadgurubhyo Namo Namah. Satchidananda Rupaya Vishvotpatyadi Hetave Tapatraya Vinashaya Shri Krishnaya Vayam Numah. यं प्रव्रजन्तमनुपेतमपेतकृत्यं द्वैपायनो विरहकातर आजुहाव पुत्रेति तन्मयतया तरवोऽभिनेदुः तं सर्वभूतहृदयं मुनिमानतोऽस्मि यस्वानुभावमखिलश्रुतिसारमेकम् अध्यात्मदीपमतितितीर्षतां तमोऽन्धं संसारिणां करुणयाः पुराणगुह्यं तं व्याससूनुम् उपयामि गुरुं मुनीनां योगीन्द्राय नमस्तस्मै शुकाय ब्रह्मरूपिणे संसारसर्पदष्टं यो विष्णुरातममुमुचते कालव्यालमुखग्रास त्रासनिर्नाशहेतवे श्रीमद्भागवतं शास्त्रं कलौकीरेण भाषितम् एतस्मादपरं किञ्चित् मनःशुद्ध्यै न विद्यते जन्मान्तरे भवेत् पुण्यं तदा भागवतं लभेत् ज्ञानवैराग्यसम्पूर्णान् हरिभक्तिपरायणान् पूर्वाचार्यात् अहं वन्दे सम्प्रदायप्रवर्तकान् भगवन्नाम साम्राज्ये लक्ष्मी सर्वस्वविग्रहं श्रीमद्बोधेन्द्रयोगीन्द्र देशिकेन्द्रम् उपास्महे कलिकालोचितं धर्मं नाम संकीर्तनात्मकं निर्णेतुमवतीर्णं तं प्रेमिकं सद्गुरुं भजे हरे रामेति कृष्णेति नाम संकीर्तनं सदा लोकक्षेमाय कुर्वन्तं प्रेमिकं सद्गुरुं भजे जन्माद्यस्य यतोऽन्वयात् इतरतश्चार्तेष्वभिज्ञस्वराट् तेने ब्रह्महृदाय आदिकवये मुह्यन्ति यत्सूरयः तेजो वारिमृदां यथा विनिमयो यत्र त्रिसर्गो मृषा धाम्ना स्वेन सदा निरस्तकुहकं सत्यं परं धीमहि धर्मः प्रोज्झितकैतवोऽत्र परमो निर्मत्सराणां सतां वेद्यं वास्तवमत्र वस्तु शिवदं तापत्रयोन्मूलनम् श्रीमद्भागवते महामुनिकृते किं वा परैरीश्वरः सद्यो हृद्यवरुध्यतेऽत्र कृतिभिः शुश्रूषिभिस्तत्क्षणात् निगमकल्पतरोर्गलितं फलं शुकमुखात् अमृतद्रवसंयुतं पिबत भागवतं रसमालयं मुहुरहो रसिका भुवि भावुकाः नारायणं नमस्कृत्य नरं चैव नरोत्तमं देवीं सरस्वतीं व्यासं ततो जयमुदीरयेत् श्रीमद्भागवताख्योऽयं प्रत्यक्षः कृष्ण एव हि स्वीकृतोऽसि मया नाथ मुख्यर्थं भवसागरे मनोरथो मदीयोऽयं सफलः सर्वदा त्वया निर्विघ्नेनैव कर्तव्यो दासोऽहं तव केशव श्रीहरये नमः श्रीहरये नमः श्रीहरये नमः गोपिका जीवनस्मरणं गोविन्दा गोविन्दा सद्गुरुनाथ महाराज की जय. Good afternoon, everyone. So I know we still have a bunch of review sessions left. I think from chapter 10, we have to do the review. And even the 15 from 1 to 18 we have left. I intentionally I'm not doing the review yet because next 2 weekends I will be able to probably do one weekend. I'll be able to take the class. I'll have to figure out which one. So the other weekend when I'm not there, I thought I'll just dedicate it for the review. So you all can do the review. We don't have to skip it. So that's why I'm not doing the review now. So we'll start with the stanza 19 of chapter 15 today. We'll try to finish 15 today. So I think Anandji, you can be student, and Jayashree, you can be student. So I think we covered meaning till about 19 or 20. So let me kind of finish that meaning for the rest of 15, right? And then we'll get into the chapter. So I think in 15, the first half, what we saw was, Arjuna had just come back and then he was describing how he has lost everything now that, Krishna's incarnation has come to an end. And he, towards the end, he talked about that the same Gandiva bow that I have, the same arrows I have, the same chariot which is drawn out by the same horses, and the same Arjuna who is there. It's completely void now. It's become completely useless because Krishna is no longer there, and Krishna is no longer there to guide me and energize me. So all of that, the same kings who were offering respects to me, no longer, they don't care about me anymore, right? All my value is gone, and in a moment's notice, everything has become null and void. That's where we left the last time. So then Arjuna then continues this conversation of what happens to the rest of them, right? So he says, Yudhishthira, you asked about all our other friends who are in Dwaraka. He says, because of the curse, everything that happens. So Dwaraka at one point was like very prominent. It was very well to do and everything. But what happens is, because there was a reason that was happening, where everything had to come to an end, because of which they all ended up fighting amongst themselves. And some of this is going to come very later, right? I think in the 13th, the 12th, the Skandam or something, it's going to come further. But the summary here is that they all keep fighting against each other, and they all get intoxicated, it says, with wine and everything, and then they cannot even recognize each other, and they end up killing each other. So that's how the entire clan which is in Dwaraka actually comes to an end. And Arjuna says, of course, all of this was meant to be, right? And how, just like how the stronger always defeat the weaker, they ended up fighting amongst each other to the point that only 4 or 5 people were even left in Dwaraka. Everybody else was gone. So Uddhava and few of them were still left. Everybody else, the Yadavas, had got completely wiped out. And then Arjuna says, Krishna gave me so much instructions in Bhagavad Gita. At that time, I understood it. But then over a period of time, I lost that knowledge. It is like kind of, you learn something, but then unless certain incidents happens and some events happen, you don't fully realize the knowledge and the learning, right? Which is exactly what Arjuna is saying. Krishna has given me all these instructions in Bhagavad Gita, which is independent of time and space. So it applies anywhere you are in the universe. It applies to any time you are in the universe. All the incidents which happen, it's a remedy of how to come out of the desire, how to get out of desire. Krishna already taught me, but somehow with time, I also kind of lost all of that stuff, right? And then because it was, Krishna was a dear friend and I was living my life. Now that Krishna is no longer there, those teachings that Krishna gave me in Bhagavad Gita, I'm able to realize it even better. So he says, now this is hitting me, and now I want to now completely what do you call, imbibe those teachings even more. So that's what he says. So now I want to completely give up everything and fully focus on the feet of Krishna. And by doing this, I'm going to remove all the material attachments I have. I'm ready to quit everything I have, the kingdom I have, and all the material desires I have. And all I want to do is just completely focus on it and then give up all my miseries and my desires. So that's what Arjuna says, and says by doing that, he says, I'm able to understand that I just Advaitam, I'm same with Krishna, right? I'm able to realize that non-duality, the doubts of duality are completely cut off, and I'm not attached to any of the modes of nature, none of that, and I'm completely freeing myself. So that's the realization that Arjuna comes to finally, and then he essentially, he gives up everything. That's Arjuna is the first one to give up everything. Once Arjuna gives it, then Kunti is also hearing all this, right? So there's another, if when you search up the Mahabharata story, it says Kunti left with Dhritarashtra and Gandhari and everything. In one story tells that. However, at least in the sequence here in Bhagavatam, Dhritarashtra and Gandhari have already left. Kunti, after hearing what Arjuna has said, she also comes to the realization that what am I still doing here, right? So she also desires the Yadava clan itself is gone. All of her relatives, a lot of them are gone, and Krishna has also left. So she says, I also have nothing to do anymore. So I am also desiring to quit everything and then renounce everything. So that is what Kunti also decides. Then the next one, and then what happens is, of course, Yudhishthira remembers, right, what Narada said, which was the moment Krishna incarnation comes to an end on earth, the Kali Yugam is going to kick off in full steam. And at that time, things are going to start going bad. So Yudhishthira remembers that message. And Yudhishthira is the next one to say, I am also going to renounce everything. I don't want this kingdom anymore that is there. So what he first does is, the only person in their lineage who's left is Parikshit, right? So they then crown Parikshit as the emperor there so that they all can free themselves up. And then the first thing they do, and then Yudhishthira performs, it says he performs a yajna called as Prajapatya yajna, where essentially he's giving up everything, right? So all his kingdom, all his material, everything he completely gives up. and they all kind of adorn those, the regular clothes, the bark kind of clothes, right? So he gives up all his royal king clothes and everything, and they all decide that I'm just going to look like a madman. So kind of lets his hair loose. He says, I'm going to stop eating all solid foods. I'm only going to survive on liquids, and then I'm not going to take anything with me. And Yudhishthira says, I am just going to go north. I'm just going to go to the Himalayas, right? And Yudhishthira starts walking. So once Yudhishthira starts walking, then the rest of the Pandavas, Arjuna had already anyway decided he's quitting everything. So the rest of the Pandavas also say, what are we going to do, right? Krishna is no longer there. All of you are quitting. So even the rest of the Pandavas also decide to follow Yudhishthira and Arjuna, and Draupadi also does the same thing. However, Subhadra decides to stay back because Parikshit is just established as a king, so she decides to stay back. And what Yudhishthira also does is, one of the Krishna's grandson Aniruddha has a son. He makes him as a king of Mathura, because Mathura is still there. Dwaraka is gone, Mathura is still there, so he establishes that person as the king of Mathura, and they all decide to head north. That is how this chapter comes to an end, where now no longer Pandava stories are going to be there. They all just go north. It doesn't say what happens to them and all of them. And it talks about, eventually the Pandavas, they attain the spiritual sky. They say it attains a Vaikuntham because they say the Pandavas are no different than Krishna. So the Pandavas are just an extension of Krishna. So the Pandavas naturally attain Vaikuntham. However, Vidura, it says, although Vidura, Gandhari and Yudhishthira passed away in the forest fire, and or they, in the gods burnt, and then however Vidura, when he gives up, he goes to the Pitraloka, because he says Yudhishthira, there's another backstory which says Yama's incarnation is Vidura. Yama takes incarnation as Vidura, so because of which he goes back to where he came from, which is the Pitraloka. However, the Pandavas go over to Vaikuntham. So that's how this thing comes to an end. Chapter 15 comes to an end. Yeah.
They are all in Hastinapura, right?
Yeah.
When this happens?
Yeah.
And is it in Gujarat?
No, Hastinapura is north, right? Near in Haryana, Delhi area.
Okay. So to reach Himalayas, they don't have to go much. No.
Yeah, they don't have to go much. So they're kind of almost there, right? And then right, story that all the Pancha Pandavas leave, Draupadi leaves, and then a dog follows and all that. And eventually they leave, right? I mean, that's details is not mentioned. They just say they all go north. So even Dhritarashtra and Gandhari also go. They also go to the Himalayas. They went to the south side of Himalayas. My parents went to one place where they said, where at least that locals say, oh, this is the place where the Pandavas finally went. I don't know how true that is, but there is some place which says this is the place through which the Pandavas went, right? But they did go over to Kedarnath, because that's where they established, the temple in Kedarnath, right? So at least they definitely go till that point. We don't know what point beyond there they went.
Okay.
Okay. So we'll start from 19 today. Shayyasanatana Vikathana Bhojanadishu. Put a short shu there, Bhojanadishu, and comma. Next line, if we have a ish and a y, it becomes a I. So Aikyad Vayasya. So that ish and a y becomes an I. Aikyad Vayasya Rithavaniti Vipralabdaha Sakyus Sakeva Pitruvat Tanayasya Sarvam, comma, Sehe Mahan Mahitaya Kumate Ragamme. Shayyasanatana Vikathana Bhojanadishu Aikyad Vayasya Ritavaniti Vipralabdaha Sakyus Sakeva Pitruvat Tanayasya Sarvam Sehe Mahan Mahitaya Kumate Ragamme.
Shayyasanatana Vigathana Bhojanadishu Aikyadayasya Vridhavanidhi Vipralabdaha Sakhyasu Sakheva Pidruvattanayasya Sarvam Sehe Mahan Mahidaya Kumade Ragamme. Shayyasanatana Vigathana Bhojanadishu Aikyadayasya Vridhavanidhi Vipralabdaha Sakyas Sakheva Pidruvattanayasya Sarvam Sehe Mahan Mahidaya Kumade Ragamme.
Shayyasanatana Vikathana Bhojanadishu Aikyadvayasya Ritavaniti Vipralabdaha Sakyus Sakeva Pitruvattanayasya Sarvam Sehe Mahan Mahitaya Kumate Ragamme. शय्यासनाटनविकथनभोजनादिषु ऐक्याद्वयस्य ऋतवानिति विप्रलब्धः सख्युः पितृवत्तनयस्य सर्वं सेहे महान्मयितया कुमतेरघं मे
सोऽहं नृपेन्द्र रहितः पुरुषोत्तमेन सख्या प्रियेण सुहृदा हृदयेन शून्यः Urukrama word, but you have to say it together. Advanyurukrama parigraham anga rakshan, comma. So the next word I'm going to break it into three parts if you want to. Gopair asadbhir abaleva vinirjitosmi. Soham nripentharahitah purushottamena sakya priyena suhrada hridayena shunyah Advanyurukrama parigrahamangarakshan gopairasadbhirabhaleva vinirjitosmi.
सोऽहं नृपेन्द्ररहितः पुरुषोत्तमेन सख्या प्रियेण सुहृदा हृदयेन शून्यः अध्यन्नुरक्रमपरिग्रहमङ्गरक्षन् गोवेरसद्भिरबलेव विनर्जितोऽस्मि सोऽहं नृपेन्द्ररहितः पुरुषोत्तमेन सख्या प्रियेण सुहृदा हृदयेन शून्यः अध्यन्नुरक्रमपरिग्रहमङ्गरक्षन् Goveera Vinarjitosmi.
Anji, the third line, first word, it's Advanyuruk. I'm hearing Adyan. It's Advanyurukrama.
Advanyurukrama.
Yeah, that's correct.
Thank you, Rajesh.
Soham nripendrahitah purushottamena sakya priyena suhrada hridayena shunyaha advanyurukrama parigrahamangarakshan gopairasid asadbhir abaleva vinirjitosmi soham nripendrahitah purushottamena sakya priyena suhrada hridayena shunyaha advanyurukrama parigrahamangarakshan Gopairasadbir abaleva vinirjitosmi.
21. Tadvai dhanusta ishavassa rato hayaste, soham rati nrupatayo yata anamanti. Sarvam kshanena tadabhut asadhisha, you can break it that, tadabhut asadhisha riktam, bhasman kutam kuhaka Radham, double the Radham ivoktam ushyam. Tadvaidhanusta ishavassa ratho hayaste soham rati nrupatayo yata anamanti sarvam kshanena tadabhut asadhisha riktam bhasman hutam kuhakaradham ivoktam ushyam.
Taddedanusta ishavassa radho hayaste Soham Dedi Nrapatayo Yata Anamandi Sarvam Kshanena Tadabhuda Asadisharik Shariktam Bhasman Hudam Kuhakaradhamivopta Mushyam Tadhe Tadanusta Ishavasta Saradho Hayaste Soyam Dedi Nrapatayo Yata Anamandi Sarvam Kshanena Tadabhuda Asadishariktam Bhasman Hudam Kuhakaradhamivopta Mushyam.
The second line, first word, soham.
Soham Radhi. Thank you, Rajesh.
Tadvaidhanustha ishavasarato hayaste soham rati nripatayo yata anamante sarvam kshanena tadabhudasadishariktam bhasman hutam kuhakaradham ivoptamushyam Tadvaidhanusta ishavasarato hayaste soham rati nripatayo yata anamante sarvam kshanena tadabhud asadishariktam Bhasman hutam kuhakaradham ivoptamushyam.
Rajans tvayabhi prishtanam, suhrudam nas suhrutpure vipra shapa vimudhanam, nignatam mushtibhir mitah. Rajans tvayabhi prishtanam suhrudam nas suhrutpure vipra shapa vimudhanam Nignatam mushtibhir mitah.
Rajam Stoyabhinu. Rajeshi, the first word is Rajam Stoyanu.
Tvayabhi Prishtanam. Bha. Tvayabhi.
Toyabhi Prashtana.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
For me, it is Tvayanu
Yeah, my
Prishtanam.
also
Okay.
is
Can
Toyanu.
you just change it to Tvayabhi Prishtanam? Short B.
Rajam Stoyabhi Prashtana. Suhurdam na Suhurpure. Viprashapa Vimudhana. Nignadam Mushtibhirmidaha. Rajam Stoyabhi Prashtana. Suhurdam na Suhurpure. Viprashapa Vimudhana. Nignadam Mushtibhirmidaha.
Rajam stvaya biprishthanam suhudam na suhrit pure. Oops, I lost it. Sorry. Viprashapa vimudhanam nignatam mushtibirmitaha. Rajam stvaya biprishthanam suhudam na suhrit pure. Viprashapa vimudhanam nignatam mushtibirmitaha.
Varunim Madiram Pitva, comma. Madon Matita Chetasam. Ajanatam Ivan Yoyam. If you can break that, Ajanatam Ivan Yoyam, comma. Chatuf Panchava Sheshitaha.
Rajesh, my book has Viprashava Vimudha. Sorry, Ajanadam Ivanyonyam. So it's your
Double in it has?
Nyonyam.
Nyam.
2 times NY.
Oh, okay, I only have one. Ajanatam Ivan Yoyam.
Nyoyam. So
Yeah.
it's just plain ya, right?
Yeah, second, yeah. There was the in before. Ivan Yoyam.
Is it not Ivan Yonyam? Because
Yeah.
inge half na irukku.
Yeah,
Yonyam.
I don't have that in my book, but I'll mark it. I'll just double check.
ஆமா இதுலயுமே யோன்யம் இன்னு இருக்காங்க யோன்யம்.
Okay.
Even for me,
Anyonyam.
Yonyam.
Yeah, maybe you're right because the anyonyam, maybe the in should be there, but okay, mine doesn't have. Okay, I'll add an in. That's fine. Anyonyam. Yeah, that might be the right way. Varuhi Madiram Pitva Madon Matita Chetasam Ajanatam Ivanyonyam Chatuf Panchavasheshitaha.
Varuni Madhiram Pitva Madon Madida Chedasam Ajanadami Vanyonyam Chadut Panjava Sheshitaha. Varuni Madhiram Pitva Madon Madida Chedasam Ajanadami Vanyonyam Chadut Panjava Sheshitaha.
Varuni madiram pitva madon matita chetasam ajanatam ivanyonyam chatuf panchavasheshitaha. Varuni madiram pitva madon matita chetasam ajanatam ivanyonyam chatuf panchavasheshitaha.
Sheshitaha.
Sheshitaha.
I think the anyonyam is maybe the right word. I don't know why it's a print. I don't know if anybody has, just don't have the in, add that, because essentially it's each other, so that makes sense. Okay. Praye naitad bhagavataha. So add a visarga there, you may not have it, visarga and comma. Ishwarasya vicheshtitam mitho nignanti bhutani, comma, bhavayanti cha yanmitaha. प्राहेणैतद् भगवतः ईश्वरस्य विचेष्टितं मिथो निघ्नन्ति भूतानि भावयन्ति च यन्मितः.
प्रायेणे तद्भगवतः ईश्वरस्य विचेष्टितं मिथो निघ्नन्ति भूतानि भावयन्ति च यन्मितः. प्रायेणे तद्भगवतः ईश्वरस्य विचेष्टितं मिथो निघ्नन्ति भूतानि भावयन्ति च यन्ममिदः.
Bhavayanti is short e.
भावयन्ति च यन्मिदः. Thank you, Rajesh.
प्रायेणैतद् भगवतः ईश्वरस्य विचेष्टितं मिथो निघ्नन्ति भूतानि भावयन्ति च यन्मितः. प्रायेणैतद् भगवतः ईश्वरस्य विचेष्टितं मिथो निघ्नन्ति भूतानि भावयन्ति च यन्मितः.
Jalaukasam Jale yad vat, you'll have an in there because we're going to pause, that in becomes a it. So yad vat, comma, Mahanto Dantyaniyasah. So it's one word. Mahanto Dantyaniyasah. Durbalan Balino Rajan, comma, Mahanto Balino Mitaha. Jalhokasam Jale Yadvat Mahanto Dantyaniyasah. Durbalan Balino Rajan, Mahanto Balino Mitaha.
जलोकसां जले यद्वद् महान्तो दन्त्यनीयसः दुर्बलान् बलिनो राजन् महान्तो बलिनो मितः जलोकसां जले यद्वद् महान्तो दन्त्यनीयसः दुर्बलान् बलिनो राजन् महान्तो बलिनो मितः
जलोकसां जले यद्वत् महान्तो दन्त्यनीयसः दुर्बलान् बलिनो राजन् महान्तो बलिनो मितः जलोकसां जले यद्वत् महान्तो दन्त्यनीयसः दुर्बलान् बलिनो राजन् महान्तो बलिनो मितः
Evam Balishtair Yadubihi. So put a visarga comma there, but Yadubihi. Next, on top of that ma, there is a ir that goes away. Mahadbhir itaran vibuhu. Yadun Yadubhir anyonyam. Easy to break at that ra if you want. Yadubhir anyonyam, comma. Bhubharan sanjahara ha. Evam Balishthairyadubihim Mahadbhir itaran vibuhu Yadun Yadubhir anyonyam Bhubharan sanjahara.
एवं बलिष्ठैर्यद्भिः इतरान् विभुः यदून् यद्भिरन्योन्यं भूभारान् संजहारः एवं बलिष्ठैर्यद्भिः महद्भिरितरान् विभुः यदून् यद्भिरन्योन्यं भूभारान् संजहारः
एवं बलिष्ठैर्यदुभिः महद्भिरितरान् विभुः यदून् यदुभिरन्योन्यं भूमारान् संजहारः एवं भूभारान् संजहारः थैंक यू एवं बलिष्ठैर्यदुभिः महद्भिरितरान् विभुः यदून् यदुभिरन्योन्यं भूभारान् संजहारः
Desha Kalartha Yuktani, short e, comma, Hrittapopa Shamanicha. So double it. Hrittapopa Shamanicha. Haranti Smaratash Chittam, comma, Govindabhihitani me. That's one word. Desha Kalartha Yuktani, Hrittapopa Shamanicha. Haranti Smarataschittam Govindabhihitani me.
देशकालार्थयुक्तानि हृत्तापोपशमानि च हरन्ति स्मरदश्चित्तं गोविन्दाभिहितानि मे देशकालार्थयुक्तानि हृत्तापोपशमानि च हरन्ति स्मरदश्चित्तं गोविन्दाभिहितानि मे
देशकालार्थयुक्तानि हृत्तापोपशमानि च हरन्ति स्मरतश्चित्तं गोविन्दाभिहितानि मे देशकालार्थयुक्तानि हृत्तापोपशमानि च हरन्ति स्मरतश्चित्तं गोविन्दाभिहितानि मे
Sutau vacha evam chintayato jishnoho, comma, Krishna pada saroruham sauhardenathi gadhena, comma, shantasid vimala matihi. Sutau vacha evam chintayato jishnoho Krishna pada saroruham sauhardenati gadhena shantasid vimala matihi.
सूत उवाच एवं चिन्तयतो जिष्णोः कृष्णपादसरोरुहं सौहृदेनादिगाढेन शान्तासीद्विमलामतिः सूत उवाच एवं चिन्तयतो कृष्णोः कृष्णपादसरोरुहं सौहृदेनादिगाढेन शान्तासीत् विमला मतिः.
And the second line, first word, Sauhardenati.
सौहार्देनातिगाढेन.
Yeah.
Thank you.
सूतोवाच एवं चिन्तयतो जिष्णोः कृष्णपादसरोरुहं सौहार्देनातिगाढेन शान्तासीत् विमला मतिः। सूतोवाच एवं चिन्तयतो जिष्णोः कृष्णपादसरोरुहं सौहार्देनातिगाढेन शान्तासीत् विमला मतिः।
And Jayshin, the first line, Krishna Pada. Second time you said Pada, just Pada.
Oh, sorry. Krishnapada-saroruham.
Vasudevangriyanudhyana. See, this one you cannot break it. So it's Vasudeva Angri Anudhyana. 3 different words, but all joined together. So you have to say it as in one flow. Vasudevangriyanudhyana, comma, Paribrimhita Ramhasa, Bhaktya Nimartithashesha, comma, Kashaya Dishanurjunaha. वासुदेवाङ्ग्र्यनुध्यान परिब्रह्मितरंहसा भक्त्या निमर्तिताशेष कषाय दिशनोऽर्जुनः.
वासुदेवाङ्घ्रनुध्यान परिब्रह्मितरंहसा भक्त्या निर्मितदाशेष कषायद्दिषणोऽर्जुनः. वासुदेवाङ्घ्रनुध्यान परिब्रह्मितरंहसा भक्त्या निर्मितदाशेष कषायद्दिषणोऽर्जुनः.
Anandji, that first line, paribrimhita.
Oh, paribramhita.
No, br.
Oh, paribramhita.
No, brimhita.
Brimhita.
Yeah.
Paribramhita.
Correct. And then the second line, nirmatita shesha.
Bhaktya nirmatita shesha.
Correct. Yeah. I think you were saying nirmiti there. Nirmatita.
Oh, yeah. Okay. Thank you.
Vasudevangrinadhyana paribrimhitaramhasa bhaktya nirmatita shesha kashaya dishanurjunaha. Vasudevangrinadhyana paribrimhitaramhasa bhaktya nirmatita shesha kashaya dishanurjunaha.
Geetam Bhagavata Jnanam, comma, Yattat Sangrama Murdhani, short e, Kala Karma Tamoruddham, double the, comma, Punar Adyagamat Vibhuhu. You can break it that ra, Punar Adyagamat Vibhuhu. I think some books have Prabhu someplace. So if you have Prabhu, change it to Punar Adyagamat Vibhuhu. Geetam Bhagavata Jnanam Yattat Sangrama Murdhani Kala Karma Tamoruddham Punaradyagamat Vibhuhu.
Geetam Bhagavata Jnanam Yattat Sangrama Murdhani Kala Karma Tamoruddham Punaradyagamat Vibhuhu. Geetam Bhagavata Jnanam Yattat Sangrama Murdhani Kala Karma Tamoruddham Punaradyagamat Vibhuhu.
Is the last word mat prabhuhu or mat vibhuhu?
Some books may have Prabhu, so just change it to Vibhuhu to be consistent, but some books may have Prabhu.
Okay. Geetam Bhagavata Jnanam Yattat Sangrama Murdhani Kala Karma Tamoruddham Punaradhyagamat Mat Prabhuhu. Sorry, Mat
Vibhuhu.
Vibhuhu. Okay. Geetam Bhagavata Jnanam Yattat Sangrama Murdhani Kala Karma Tamoruddham Punaradhyagamat Vibhuhu.
Bishoko Brahma Sampatya, comma, Sanchinna Dvaita Samshayaha, Leena Prakriti Nairgunyath. So that is there, we're going to break it. Put a it, Nairgunyath, comma. Next word will start with the A now. Alingatvat Asambhavaha. You can break it at the Alingatvat Asambhavaha. Vishoko Brahma Sampatya Sanchinna Dvaita Samshayah Leena Prakriti Nairgunyat Alingatvat Asambhavaha.
Vishogo Brahma Sambatya संचिन्नद्वैतसंशयः लीनप्रकृतिनैर्गुण्याद् अलिङ्गत्वादसम्भवः विशोको ब्रह्मसम्पत्य संचिन्नद्वैतसंशयः लीनप्रकृतिनैर्गुण्याद् अलिङ्गत्वादसम्भवः
विशोको ब्रह्म सम्पत्त्या संच्छिन्नद्वैतसंशयः लीनप्रकृतिनैर्गुण्यात् अलिङ्गत्वादसम्भवः विशोको ब्रह्म सम्पत्त्या संच्छिन्नद्वैतसंशयः लीनप्रकृतिनैर्गुण्यात् अलिङ्गत्वादसम्भवः
निशम्य भगवन् मार्गं संस्थां यदु कुलस्य च स्वः पताय मतिं चक्रे निभृतात्मा युधिष्ठिरः निशम्य भगवन्मार्गं संस्थां यदुकुलस्य च स्वः पताय मतिं चक्रे निभृतात्मा युधिष्ठिरः
निशम्य भगवन्मार्गं संस्थां यदुकुलस्य च सपदाय मतिं चक्रे निवृतात्मा युधिष्ठिरः निशम्य भगवन्मार्गं संस्थां यदुकुलस्य च सपदाय मतिं चक्रे निवृतात्मा युधिष्ठिरः
निशम्य भगवन्मार्गं संस्थां यदुकुलस्य च स्वःपथाय मतिं चक्रे निभृतात्मा युधिष्ठिरः निशम्य भगवन्मार्गं संस्थां यदुकुलस्य च स्वःपथाय मतिं चक्रे निभृतात्मा युधिष्ठिरः
कृताप्यनुश्रुत्य धनञ्जयोदितं नाशं यदूनां भगवद्गतिं च ताम् एकान्तभक्त्या भगवत्यधोक्षजे cannot break that word भगवत्यधोक्षजे निवेशितात्मोपरराम even this niveshita atma upararama 3 different words so say it together niveshitatmopararama samsritehe प्रताप्यनुश्रुत्य धनञ्जयोदितं नाशं यदूनां भगवद्गतिं च ताम् एकान्तभक्त्या भगवत्यधोक्षजे निवेशितात्मोपरराम संसृतेः
तदाप्यनुसृत्य धनञ्जयोदितं नाशं यदूनां भगवद्गतिं च ताम् एकान्तभक्त्या भगवत्यदोषजे निवेशितात्मोपरराम संसृतेः प्रताप्यनुसृत्य धनञ्जयोदितं नाशं यदूनां भगवद्गतिं च ताम् एकान्तभक्त्या भगवत्यदोषजे निवेशितात्मोपरराम संसृते
प्रताप्यनुसृत्य धनञ्जयोदितं नाशं यदूनां भगवद्गतिं च ताम् एकान्तभक्त्या भगवत्यधोक्षजे निवेशितात्मोपरराम संसृतेः प्रताप्यनुसृत्य धनञ्जयोदितं नाशं यदूनां भगवद्गतिं च ताम् एकान्तभक्त्या भगवत्यधोक्षजे निवेशितात्मोपरराम संसृतेः
Rajesh, it is Pyatha or Pratha? First
Pritha.
line.
Pritha.
It's not Pya.
No, not Pya. Pritha.
Okay, thank you.
यया हरत् भुवो भारं तां तनुं बिजहावजः कण्टकं कण्टकेनेव द्वयं चापीशितुः समम् यया हरत् भुवो भारं तां तनुं बिजहावजः कण्टकं कण्टकेनेव द्वयं चापीशितुः समम्
यया हरद्भुवो भारं तां तनुं विजहावचः कण्टकं कण्टकेनेव द्वयं चाभिषितुः समम् यया हरद्भुवो भारं तां तनुं विजहावचः कण्टकं कण्टकेनेव द्वयं चाभिषितुः समम्
यया हरद्भुवो भारं तां तनुं विजहावजः कण्टकं कण्टकेनेव द्वयं चापीशितुः समम् यया हरद्भुवो भारं तां तनुं विजहावजः कण्टकं कण्टकेनेव द्वयं चापीशितुः समम्.
Rajesh, what is the meaning, Rajesh?
I was going
Kantake
to just say that. So it refers to like kantaka is like a thorn. Okay. So like it says, you have the saying, right? Like you have to remove a thorn with a thorn is a saying that goes, right? So here he says, when the Yadavas were all doing really good and they were all flourishing, right? And then it came a point where too much of everything becomes bad, right? And then they reached a point where, they had an abundance of everything. When they have an abundance of everything, then the mind always goes into useless things, right? Because you have everything you want, which is what was happening with the Yadavas, right? And so, how do you remove? Now they became a burden to the society. So, how do you remove the burden of the Yadavas who had become a thorn to the society? She says, so they had to be gotten rid of, right? And so he says, you remove Krishna with Krishna's thought. He says you remove the thorn with the thorn. So you use the Yadavas themselves to remove themselves out of the equation. So they no longer can become a menace to the society. That's why it says Kantakam Kantake Neva. With the thorn itself, you remove the thorn, of the Yadavas. That's the thing there.
Oh, thank you, Rajesh.
Such a good question. Yatha Matsyadi Rupani, Datte Jahyat Yata Nataha, Bhubharaha. So that you have to say that Visarga. Ksha is coming later. Kshapito Yena, Jaho Tacha Kalevaram. Yatha Matsyadi Rupani, Datte Jahyat Yata Nataha, Bhubharaha Kshapito Yena, Jaho Tacha Kalevaram.
Yada Malsyadi Datte Jahyadeta Nadaha Bobaraha Shabito Yena Jahotachakalebaram Yada Malsyadi Datte Jahyadna Yada Nadaha Bobaraha Shabito Yena Jahotachakalebaram
यथा मत्स्यादिरूपाणि धत्ते जह्याद्धा भूभारक्षपितो येन जहौ तच्च कलेवरम्. भूभारः क्षपितो येन जहौ तच्च कलेवरम्. यथा मत्स्यादिरूपाणि दत्ते जह्याद्. How do you say that dhya and tha together?
Jahyat Yatha Nataha.
Jahyat Yatha Nataha.
You have it that it and ya together as
Dhya.
Oh, okay. It's easy to break it. In mine, it is two separate words, but you can break it. Datte Jahyat Yatha Nataha.
Okay, got it. Yatha Matsyadi-rupani dhatte jahyat yatha nataha bhubarakshapito yena jahau taccha kalevaram.
Bhubharaha.
Bhubarakshapito yena. Sorry. Yeah, thank you.
And this stanza just says, just like how, the Matsya avataram happens, but then once the job is done, then the avataram is done. And then you go on, it's the same say, it says, Arjuna is just consoling everybody because now he has come to the realization, right? He says, don't worry that Krishna was just an avataram that was there. He came, once the duty was done, he's moved on. Just like how Matsya avataram is done, then the next avataram happens and it keeps on going, right? Yada Mukundo Bhagavanimam Mahim, Jahau Swatanva Shravaniya Satkataha Tada Hareva Prati, that one word, Tada Hareva Prati Buddha Chetasam, you put a im there, next word starts with the a. Adharma Hetu Kalir Anvavartata. Yada Mukundo Bhagavani Mam Mahim Jahau Swatanva Shravaniya Satkataha Tada Hareva Pratibuddha Chetasam Adharma Hetu Kaliranva Vartata.
Yada Mukundo Bhagavani Mahim Jaho Swatanva Shravaniya Satkataha Tada Hareva Pratibuddha Chetasam Adharma Hetu Kaliranva Vartata. Yada Mukundo Bhagavani Mahim Jaho Sadanna Sravaniya Satkadaha Tada Hareva Pratibuddha Chedasa Adharma Hedu Kaliranna Vartata.
Yada Mukundo Bhagavan Imam Mahim Jahaus Vatanva Shravaniya Satkataha तदा हरेवा प्रतिबुद्धचेतसाम् अधर्महेतुः कलिरन्वर्तत यदा मुकुन्दो भगवान् इमां महीं जहौस्वतन्वा शवनीय सत्कतः तदा हरेवा प्रतिबुद्धचेतसाम् अधर्महेतुः वर्तत
युधिष्ठिरस्तत् परिसर्पणं बुधः कॉमा पुरे च राष्ट्रे च गृहे तथात्मनि शॉर्टी विभाव्य लोभानृत जिह्म so handama jihm himsanadhi, so you'll have a dya there because we're going to pause it. It becomes himsanadhi short e comma, next word will become a adharma chakram gamanaya paryadhat. युधिष्ठिरस्तत्परिसर्पणं भूतः पुरे च राष्ट्रे च गृहे तथात्मनि विभाव्य लोभानृतजिह्म हिंसनाधि अधर्मचक्रं गमनाय पर्यधात्.
युधिष्ठिरस्तत्परिसर्पणं बुधः पुरे च राष्ट्रे च गृहे तदात्मनि विभाव्य लोभानृतजिह्महिंसनादि अधर्मचक्रं गमनाय पर्यदात्. युधिष्ठिरस्तत्परिसर्पणं बुधः पुरे च राष्ट्रे च गृहे तदात्मनि विभाव्य लोभानृतजिह्महिंसनादि अधर्मचक्रं गमनाय पर्यदात्.
युधिष्ठिरस्तत्परिसर्पणं बुधः पुरे च राष्ट्रे च गृहे ततात्मनि विभाव्य लोभानृतजिह्महिंसनादि अधर्मचक्रं गमनाय पर्यधात्. युधिष्ठिरस्तत्परिसर्पणं बुधः पुरे च राष्ट्रे च गृहे ततात्मनि विभाव्य लोभानृतजिह्महिंसनादि अधर्मचक्रं गमनाय पर्यधात्.
स्वराट् पौत्रं विनयिनं कॉमा आत्मनस् सुसमं गुणैः तोय नीव्याः पतिं भूमेः, so the ra that is there, put a visarga first, bhumehe, next word becomes a abhyashinchat gajahvaye. स्वराट् पौत्रं विनयिनं आत्मनः सुसमं गुणैः तोयनीव्याः पतिं भूमेः अभ्यषिञ्चत् गजाह्वये.
स्वराट् पौत्रं विनयिनं आत्मनः सुसमं गुणैः तोयनीव्यापदिं भूमेः अभ्यषिञ्चत् गजाह्वये. स्वराट् पौत्रं विनयिनं आत्मनः सुसमं गुणैः तोयनीव्यापदिं भूमेः अभिषिञ्चत् गजाह्वये.
The second bhumehe
अभिषिञ्चत् अभ्यषिञ्चत् गजाह्वये.
स्वराटपौत्रं विनयिनं எங்க பாஸ் பண்ண
because you are saying swarat pautram.
स्वराट् पौत्रं विनयिनं आत्मनं सुसमं गुणैः तोयनिव्याः पतिं भूमेः अभ्यषिञ्चत् गजाह्वये. स्वराट् पौत्रं विनयिनं आत्मनं सुसमं गुणैः तोयनिव्याः पतिं भूमेः अभ्यषिञ्चत् गजाह्वये.
And the first line, atmanas susamam is sound.
Oh, na vera ennu atmanas susamam gunaihi.
Yeah. So the pautram referring to Parikshit, so essentially you're establishing your grandson, that's what it is there. Mathurayam tata vajram comma shurasena patim tatah prajapatyam nirupeshtim, so the ma we break it, put a im, next word starts with the a, agnin apibhadishwarah, you can break it that na, so agnin apibhadishwarah. मथुरायां तथा वज्रं शूरसेन पतिं ततः प्राजापत्यां निरूप्येष्टिम् अग्नीन् अपिबधीश्वरः.
मथुरायां तदा वज्रं शूरसेन पतिं ततः प्राजापत्यां निरूपेष्टिम् अग्निनपीबदीश्वरः मधुरायां तदा वज्रं शूरसेनपदिं ततः प्राजापत्यां निरूपेष्टिम् अग्निन्नबिबदीश्वरः
मथुरायां तथा वज्रं शूरसेनपतिं ततः प्राजापत्यां निरूप्येष्टिम् अग्नीन् अपि बदीश्वरः मथुरायां तथा वज्रं शूरसेनपतिं ततः प्राजापत्यां निरूप्येष्टिम् अग्नीन् अपि बदीश्वरः
Visrujya, actually, we'll just switch here at this point. Sindhuji can be a student and Uma you can be a student. Visrujya tatra tatsarvam, comma, dukula valayadikam, nirmamo nirahankaraha, comma, sanchinnashesha bandhanaha. विसृज्य तत्र तत्सर्वं दुकूलवलयादिकं निर्ममो निरहङ्कारः सञ्छिन्नाशेषबन्धनः
विसृज्य तत्र तत्सर्वं दुकूलवलयादिगं निर्ममो निरहङ्कारः सञ्चिन्नाशेषबन्धनः विसृज्य तत्र तत्सर्वं दुकूलवलयादिगं निर्ममो निरहङ्कारः सञ्चिन्नाशेषबन्धनः
Uma mute लिख
Sorry. विसृज्य तत्र तत्सर्वं दुकूलवलयादिकं निर्ममो निरहङ्कारः सञ्छिन्नाशेषबन्धनः विसृज्य तत्र तत्सर्वं दुकूलवलयादिकं निर्ममो निरहङ्कारः सञ्छिन्नाशेषबन्धनः
वाचं जुहाव मनसि कम तत्प्राण इतरे च तं मृत्यावपानं सोत्सर्गं कम तं पञ्चत्वे ह्यजोहवीत् वाचं जुहाव मनसि तत्प्राण इतरे च तं मृत्यावपानं सोत्सर्गं तं पञ्चत्वे ह्यजोहवीत्
वाजं जुहाव मनसि तत्प्राण इदरे जदं मृत्यावपानं सोत्सर्गं तं पञ्चत्वे ह्यजोहवीद वाजं जुहाव मनसि तत्प्राण इदरे जदं मृत्यावपानं सोत्सर्गं तं पञ्चत्वे ह्यजोहवीद
वाचं जुहाव मनसि तत्प्राण इतरे च तं मृत्यावपानं सोत्सर्गं तं पञ्चत्वे ह्यजोहवीत् वाचं जुहाव मनसि तत्प्राण इतरे च तं मृत्यावपानं सोत्सर्गं तं पञ्चत्वे ह्यजोहवीत्.
We're just talking about how Arjuna is kind of getting all his, all the senses into his mind, and then all his life into his controlling into his breathing. So essentially, getting his breathing under control, and then essentially all getting freeing himself from the control of all the five elements and everything. Tritve hutvata panchatvam, comma, tachai juhon munihi. That's a one word. Tachai juhon munihi. Sarvam atmanya juhavid, comma, brahmanyatmanam avyaye. You can break it that ma. Tritve hutvata panchatvam tachai juhon munihi. Sarvam atmanya juhavid brahmanyatmanam avyaye.
तृत्वे हुत्वाद पञ्चत्वं तच्चे गत्वे जुहोन्मुनिः सर्वमात्मन्यजुहवीद ब्रह्मण्यात्मानमव्यये तृत्वे हुत्वाद पञ्चत्वं तच्चे गत्वे जुहोन्मुनिः सर्वमात्मन्यजुहवीद ब्रह्मण्यात्मानमव्यये
त्रित्वे हुत्वाथ पञ्चत्वं तच्चैकत्वे जुहोन्मुनिः सर्वमात्मन्यजुहवीद ब्रह्मण्यात्मानमव्यये त्रित्वे हुत्वाथ पञ्चत्वं तच्चैकत्वे जुहोन्मुनिः सर्वमात्मन्यजुहवीद ब्रह्मण्यात्मानमव्यये
Shira vasa niraharo, comma, बद्धवाङ् मुक्त मूर्धजः दर्शयन्नात्मनो रूपं, जडोन्मत्त पिशाचवत्. So this is kind of how Yudhishthira is transforming himself. And the thing it says here is like, Jada is like a dumb person, Jadam, right? One who is wandering on the street. And the main thing it says here is he stops talking and he stops listening to things. I think that is the first step. He says, he gives up all his clothes and then he wears the ordinary bar clothes. But most important thing is he doesn't want to talk to anybody and he doesn't want to hear what anybody else has to say. Chiravasa niraharo baddhavang muktamurdhajah darshayannatmano rupam jadonmatta pishachavat.
Chiravasa niraharo baddhavang muktamurdhajah darshayannatmano rupam jadonmatta pishachavat. Chiravasa niraharo baddhavang muktamurdhajah darshayannatmano rupam jadonmatta pishachavat.
क्षीरवासा निराहारो बद्धवाङ्मुक्तमूर्धजः दर्शयन्नात्मनो रूपं जडोन्मत्तपिशाचवत् क्षीरवासा निराहारो बद्धवाङ्मुक्तमूर्धजः दर्शयन्नात्मनो रूपं जडोन्मत्तपिशाचवत्
Anapekshamano niragat. So the that is there, we're going to break it. Niragat, comma. Next word starts with the a. Ashrundvan badiro yatha udichim praviveshasham, comma. Gata purvam mahatmabihi hridi brahma param dhyayan. So double na there. First you put the in dhyayan, comma. Next word starts with the na. Navarteta yato gatah. Anapekshmano niragat ashrunvan badiro yatha udichim praviveshasham gatapurvam mahatmabih hridi brahma param dhyayan navarteta yato gatah.
Anavekshmano niragad ashrinnan badiro yada udijim praviveshamsham gadapurvam mahatmabihi hridi brahma param dhyayan navarteda yado gadaha. Anavekshmano niragad ashrinnan badiro yada udijim praviveshamsham gadapurvam mahatmabihi hridi brahma param dhyayan navarteda yado gadaha.
अनपेक्षमाणो निरगात् अशृण्वन् बधिरो यथा उदीचीं प्रविवेशाशां गतपूर्वां महात्मभिः हृदि ब्रह्म परं ध्यायन् नावर्तेत यतो गतः अनपेक्षमाणो निरगात् अशृण्वन् बधिरो यथा उदीचीं प्रविवेशाशां गतपूर्वां महात्मभिः हृदि ब्रह्म परं ध्यायन् नावर्तेत यतो गतः.
Sarve tamanu nirjagmuhu. Put a visarga comma, nirjagmuhu. Bhratara, there is a ir on top that goes away. Bhratara krita nishchayaha kalina dharma mitrena, comma, drishtva sprishtah praja bhuvi. Sarve tamanu nirjagmuhu Bhratara krita nishchayaha kalina dharma mitrena drishtva sprishtah praja bhuvi.
Sarvedamanu nirjagmuhu Bhratara krita nishchayaha kalina dharma mitrena drishtva sprishtah praja bhuvi. Sarvedamanu nirjagmuhu Bhratara krita nishchayaha kalina dharma mitrena दृष्ट्वा स्पृष्टा प्रजा भुवि.
सर्वे तमनु निर्जग्मुः भ्रातरः कृतनिश्चयाः कलिना धर्ममित्रेण दृष्ट्वा स्पृष्टाः प्रजा भुवि. सर्वे तमनु निर्जग्मुः भ्रातरः कृतनिश्चयाः कलिना धर्ममित्रेण दृष्ट्वा स्पृष्टाः प्रजा भुवि.
Te sadhu krita sarvartha, comma, ज्ञात्वात्यन्तिकं, one word until then, ज्ञात्वात्यन्तिकं आत्मनः मनसा धारयामासुः, put a visarga comma, Vaikuntha, so that ir on top of Vaikuntha, ir goes away, Vaikuntha charanambujam. Te sadhu krita sarvartha ज्ञात्वात्यन्तिकमात्मनः मनसा धारयामासुः वैकुण्ठ चरणambujam.
ते साधुकृतः सर्वार्था ज्ञात्वात्यन्तिकमात्मनः मनसा धारयामासुः वैकुण्ठचरणाम्बुजम् ते साधुकृतः सर्वार्था ज्ञात्वात्यन्तिकमात्मनः मनसा धारयामासुः वैकुण्ठचरणाम्बुजम्
ते साधुकृतसर्वार्था ज्ञात्वात्यन्तिकमात्मनः मनसा धारयामासुः वैकुण्ठचरणाम्बुजम् ते साधुकृतसर्वार्था ज्ञात्वात्यन्तिकमात्मनः मनसा धारयामासुः वैकुण्ठचरणाम्बुजम्
तद् ध्यानोधृक्तया, one word, ध्यानोधृक्तया भक्त्या, comma, विशुद्ध दिशनाः परे तस्मिन् नारायण पदे, comma, एकांत मतयो गतिम्. तद्ध्यानोधृक्तया भक्त्या विशुद्ध दिशनाः परे तस्मिन् नारायण पदे एकांत मतयो गतिम्.
तद्ध्यानोद्रिक्तया भक्त्या विशुद्धधिषणा परे तस्मिन्नारायणपदे एकान्तमदयो गतिम् तद्ध्यानोद्रिक्तया भक्त्या विशुद्धधिषणः परे तस्मिन्नारायणपदे एकान्तमदयो गतिम्
तद्ध्यानोद्रिक्तया भक्त्या विशुद्धधिषणाः परे तस्मिन्नारायणपदे एकान्तमतयो गतिम् तद्ध्यानोद्रिक्तया भक्त्या विशुद्धधिषणाः परे तस्मिन्नारायणपदे एकान्तमतयो गतिम्
अवापुर् दुरवापां ते, comma, असद्भिर् विषयात्मभिः विधूत कल्मषास्थाने, comma, विरजेनात्मनैव, it's one word, विरजेनात्मनैव हि, short hi.
My book has Vidhuda Kalmasha Sthanam.
Okay, can you change to sthane?
Okay.
अवापुर्दुरवापां ते असद्भिर्विषयात्मभिः विधूत कल्मषास्ताने विरजेनात्मनैव हि.
अवापुर्दुरवापां ते असद्भिर्विषयात्मभिः विधूतकल्मषास्थाने विरजेनात्मनैव हि अवापुर्दुरवापां ते असद्भिर्विषयात्मभिः विधूतकल्मषास्थाने विरजेनात्मनैव हि
अवापुर्दुरवापां ते असद्भिर्विषयात्मभिः विधूतकल्मषास्थाने विरजेनात्मनैव हि अवापुर्दुरवापां ते असद्भिर्विषयात्मभिः विधूतकल्मषास्थाने विरजेनात्मनैव हि
विदुरोऽपि परित्यज्य, comma, प्रभासे देहम् आत्मवान् कृष्णावेशेन तच्चित्तः, comma, पितृभिः स्वक्षयं ययौ. So it's going to the पितृलोका, विदुरा. विदुरोऽपि परित्यज्य प्रभासे देहमात्मवान् कृष्णावेशेन तच्चित्तः पितृभिः स्वक्षयं ययौ.
विदुरोऽपि परित्यज्य प्रभासे देहमात्मवान् कृष्णावेशेन तच्चित्तः पितृभिः स्वक्षयं ययौ विदुरोऽपि परित्यज्य प्रभासे देहमात्मवान् कृष्णावेशेन तच्चित्तः पितृभिः स्वक्षयं ययौ
विदुरोऽपि परित्यज्य प्रभासे देहमात्मवान् कृष्णावेशेन तच्चित्तः पितृभिः स्वक्षयं ययौ विदुरोऽपि परित्यज्य प्रभासे देहमात्मवान् कृष्णावेशेन तच्चित्तः पितृभिः स्वक्षयं ययौ
Rajeshji, on the first line ending என்னோட்ல ஆத்மனஹ போட்டிருக்கு.
Oh, Prabhase Deham Atmavan. Just change it to Atmavan.
Atmavan. Okay.
So Rajeshi, this Pitralogam is above earth, right?
Yeah. It's above earth, so it's just in a different plane, right? So, just like how we have Swargalok, like different, it's one of those planes, right, above that is there. So that's where Yama is supposed to rule over the Pitralokam.
Okay. So is it one of the 7 or is it part of one of the 7?
I think it's part of one of the 7 because
Okay.
when you have all the names, right? The Pitralokam doesn't come as a separate thing, so it's one of those planes, one of
Okay.
those planes of the 7 there. I think there was some curse that Yama had for something or something like that, because of which he then is born as Vidura. And so that's why he's still very knowledgeable. And then eventually he then goes back. I don't know too much into that backstory, but that's why it says he goes back to Pitralokam. Vidura goes back to Pitralokam. Draupadi cha tatagnyaya, patinam anapekshatam. You can break it that ma if you want. Vasudeve bhagavati, Hekanta matirapatam. Draupadi cha tadagnyaya patinam anapekshatam vasudeve bhagavati hekanta matirapatam.
Draupadi jatadajnaya padinamanavekshadam vasudeve bhagavati he kantamadirapadam. Draupadi jatadajnaya padinamanavekshadam vasudeve bhagavati he kantamadirapadam.
द्रौपदी च तदाज्ञाय पतीनामनपेक्षतां वासुदेवे भगवति ह्येकान्तमतिरापतम् द्रौपदी च तदाज्ञाय पतीनामनपेक्षतां वासुदेवे भगवति ह्येकान्तमतिरापतम्.
Rajeshji, one question. Second line, the Bhagavati ke apram, is it he or is it her and the year combined?
See, it's like a he, ha and a. So it's a he and a he. Okay.
Can you say it again one more time, please?
He. So it's like Hye, he.
Okay.
Okay. Hekanta.
Thank you.
I think the two different words there are he and ekanta. Okay, he and ekanta becomes hekanta.
Okay.
Yash shraddhayetat bhagavat priyanam, pandos sutanamiti samprayanam shrunotyalam swastyayanam pavitram, labdva harau bhaktim upaiti siddhim. So it says this Pando Suthana, these children of Pandu, which is the Pandavas. See, the Pandavas, like I said earlier, is no different than extension of Krishna. It says who's Bhagavat Priyana. He says he's just an extension of Krishna. So when you say, why am I worrying about talking about the Pandavas, right? Why do I care about the Pandavas? Why don't I just talk straight about Krishna? See, because the Pandavas are the most closest to Krishna, right? And like we've seen in several incidents, like Krishna himself has said, more than me, you should be more praying to my devotees, like my most favorite of people, like the Pandavas. They are most favorite of mine. So whoever hears about the Pandavas, Shraddhayetat, with sincere devotion, he's saying it's as good as praying to Krishna. There's no difference about it. And even these Pandavas, after everything they have gone through, they kept the ultimate goal in life, which is to go back to Vaikuntham. So they kept that very steady. Right. So even in the end, they gave up everything and they stuck to that. So it just talks about whoever listens to the story of how the Pandavas remember Krishna, and how they gave up everything and finally went back to Krishna, will be blessed, will get more devotion, Bhakti Mupaiti, because it's just examples of people who are so devoted, right? So that's what this last stanza that Sutha is telling. Yashraddhayetat bhagavat priyanam Pando Sutanamiti Samprayanam Shrunotyalam Swastyayanam Pavitram Labdva Harau Bhakti Mupaiti Siddhim.
Yasraddhayaidat bhagavat priyanam Pando Sudanamidi samprayanam Srinotyalam Swastyayanam Pavitram Labdva Harau Bhakti Mupaiti Siddhim. यश्रद्धयैतद्भगवत्प्रियाणां पाण्डोसुदानामिति सम्प्रयाणं शृण्वत्यलं स्वस्त्ययनं पवित्रं लब्ध्वा हरौ भक्तिमुपैति सिद्धिम्
यश्रद्धयैतद्भगवत्प्रियाणां पाण्डोसुतानामिति सम्प्रयाणं शृणोत्यलं स्वस्त्ययनं पवित्रं लब्ध्वा हरौ भक्तिमुपैति सिद्धिम् यश्रद्धयैतद्भगवत्प्रियाणां पाण्डोसुतानामिति सम्प्रयाणं शृणोत्यलं स्वस्त्ययनं पवित्रं लब्ध्वा हरौ भक्तिमुपैति सिद्धिम्
इति श्रीमद्भागवते महापुराणे पारमहंस्यां संहितायां प्रथमस्कन्धे पाण्डव स्वर्गारोहणं नाम पञ्चदशोऽध्यायः।
इति श्रीमद्भागवते महापुराणे पारमहंस्यां संहितायां प्रथमस्कन्धे पाण्डवस्वर्गारोहणं नाम पञ्चदशोऽध्यायः। इति श्रीमद्भागवते महापुराणे पारमहंस्यां संहितायां प्रथमस्कन्धे पाण्डवस्वर्गारोहणं नाम पञ्चदशोऽध्यायः।
इति श्रीमद्भागवते महापुराणे पारमहंस्यां संहितायां प्रथमस्कन्धे पाण्डवस्वर्गारोहणं नाम पञ्चदशोऽध्यायः। इति श्रीमद्भागवते महापुराणे पारमहंस्यां संहितायां प्रथमस्कन्धे पाण्डवस्वर्गारोहणं नाम पञ्चदशोऽध्यायः।
This comes, it's an end of the Pandavas' journey. So now it's going to start with what is happening to Parikshit, right? So all the things that Parikshit meeting Kali and then all the eventual end of Parikshit, all of that is going to come in 16, 17, and 18. And finally, in the 19th chapter of the Prathama Skandam is where Shuka Brahmam comes. So that's how this first Skandam will end. So we'll maybe do another 10 stanzas today on this.
Yeah, just
Sutam,
a question on the previous. So in Dwaraka, it's saying everybody, all the Yadavas fought and killed each other, right?
Yeah.
So the Pralayam came after that, or?
No, so the Pralayam was so the Pralayam as in it was like a localized flood, right? Like a tsunami kind of thing, localized flood, by the way. So yeah, so after the Yadavas all fought with each other, majority of them all died, right? And some people were moved away, and then like a few people like Uddhava and all were still left. And then the water level rose, and because it was an island, right? So the water level rose and it destroyed the entire area, the kingdom. So the physical portion of the kingdom was all destroyed in the floods. But the men and all majority, I don't know what happened to the women. I don't know how many of them left or died. But the men, the Yadavas, they fought with each other pretty much. They killed kith and kin. They killed each other pretty much. And then the water levels rose, and then it, and we'll see a little bit of that in the very end, right? When it happens, how Krishna departs, that will come at the very end. So there it will talk about Krishna ends up leaving, and then they start fighting with each other. That's kind of the sequence of steps, right?
Okay.
If Krishna ends up leaving, they start fighting with each other, then the water comes, and then the kingdom gets damaged. So,
Thank you.
Suta uvacha tatah parikshit dvija varya shikshaya, mahim maha bhagavatash shashasah yatahi sutyam abhijata kovidaha, samadishan vipra mahat gunastatha. Sutham tatah parikshit dvijavarya shikshaya mahi mahabhagavata shashasah yatahi sutyam abhijata kovidaha samadishan vipramahad gunastatha.
Sudavaja tadapparishidvijavarya shikshaya mahi mahabhagavadashashasaha yadahi sutyam abhijada kovidaha samadishan vipramahad gunastada. Sudavaja tadapparishidvijavarya shikshaya mahi mahabhagavadashashasaha yadahi sutyam abhijada kovidaha samadishan vipramahad gunastada.
Suta uvacha tatah parikshidvijavarya shikshaya mahim mahabhagavatash shashasah यथा हि सूत्यामभिजातकोविदाः समादिशन् विप्रमहद्गुणस्तथा सूत उवाच ततः परीक्षिद्विजवर्य शिक्षया महीं महाभागवतः शशासः यथा हि सूत्यामभिजातकोविदाः समादिशन् विप्रमहद्गुणस्तथा
स उत्तरस्य तनयां put a im comma next word starts with a u upayema iravatim janame jayadimsh chaturah. So janame jaya is a son of Parikshit. Janame jayadimsh chaturah. So that is that is there, put a visarga comma. Tasyam utpadayat suthan. स उत्तरस्य तनयाम् उपहेम इरावतीम् जनमे जयादींश्चतुरः तस्याम् उत्पादयत् सुतान्.
स उत्तरस्य तनयाम् उपहेम इरावतीम् जनमे जयादींश्चतुरः तस्यामुत्पादयत् सुतान्. स उत्तरस्य तनयाम् उपहेम इरावतीम् जनमे जयादींश्चतुरः तस्यामुत्पादयत् सुतान्.
स उत्तरस्य तनयाम् उपयेम इरावतीं जनमे जयादींश्चतुरः तस्यामुत्पादयत् सुतान्. स उत्तरस्य तनयाम् उपयेम इरावतीं जनमे जयादींश्चतुरः तस्यामुत्पादयत् सुतान्.
आजहाराश्वमेधां स्त्रीन्. One word, ashwamedha. So आजहाराश्वमेधां स्त्रीन्, comma, गंगायां भूरि दक्षिणान् शारद्वतं गुरुं कृत्वा देवा यत्राक्षि गोचराः. आजहाराश्वमेधां स्त्रीन् गंगायां भूरि दक्षिणान् शारद्वतं गुरुं कृत्वा देवा यत्राक्षि गोचराः.
आजहाराश्वमेधां स्त्रीन् गंगायां भूरि दक्षिणान् शारद्वतं गुरुं कृत्वा देवा यत्राक्षि गोचराः. आजहाराश्वमेधां स्त्रीन् गंगायां भूरि दक्षिणान् शारद्वतं गुरुं कृत्वा देवा यत्राक्षि गोचराः.
आजहाराश्वमेधां स्त्रीन् गंगायां भूरि दक्षिणान् शारद्वतं गुरुं कृत्वा देवा यत्राक्षिगोचराः. आजहाराश्वमेधां स्त्रीन् गंगायां भूरि दक्षिणान् शारद्वतं गुरुं कृत्वा देवा यत्राक्षिगोचराः.
निज ग्राहौजसा, one word, निज ग्राहौजसा वीरः, comma, कलिं दिग्विजये क्वचित् नृपलिङ्गधरं शूद्रं, comma, gnantam गोमिथुनं पदा. So it's a half ga, gnantam. निजग्राहौजसा वीरः कलिं दिग्विजये क्वचित् नृपलिङ्गधरं शूद्रं gnantam गोमिथुनं पदा.
निजग्राहौजसा वीरः कलिं दिग्विजये क्वचिद् नृपलिङ्गधरं शूद्रं घ्नन्तं गोमिथुनं पदा. निजग्राहौजसा वीरः कलिं दिग्विजये क्वचिद् नृपलिङ्गधरं शूद्रं घ्नन्तं गोमिथुनं पदा.
निजग्राहौजसा वीरः कलिं दिग्विजये क्वचित् नृपलिङ्गधरं शूद्रं घ्नन्तं गोमिथुनं पदा. निजग्राहौजसा वीरः कलिं दिग्विजये क्वचित् नृपलिङ्गधरं शूद्रं घ्नन्तं गोमिथुनं पदा.
शौनक उवाच कस्य हेतोर्निजग्राह, comma, कलिं दिग्विजये नृपः नृदेव छिन्न, so ih half ha and na छिन्न धृक् शूद्रकोसौ. So that's that you put a plus, that whole line comes together. शूद्रकोसौ गाम यः पदाहनत् तत् कथ्यतां महाभाग, comma, यदि कृष्ण कथाश्रयम्. So the second line is going to be a little bit hard to say it together because it's not, doesn't land exactly, but you try, it's okay.
So Rajesh, is it 3 lines here in that Loga 5?
Yeah, 3 lines.
My book has a different.
So yours has 2 and then the third one goes to the next. Oh, okay,
right.
okay. Yeah, we can just adjust it this way. It's okay. शौनक उवाच कस्य हेतोर्निजग्राह कलिं दिग्विजये नृपः नृदेव चिन्नदृक्शूद्रकोऽसौ यः पदाहनत् तत्कथ्यतां महाभाग यदि कृष्णकथाश्रयम्. I'll say it one more time. That second line is a little hard because it doesn't land properly. शौनक उवाच कस्य हेतोर्निजग्राह कलिं दिग्विजये नृपः नृदेव चिन्नदृक्शूद्रकोऽसौ यः पदाहनत् तत्कथ्यतां महाभाग यदि कृष्णकथाश्रयम्.
शौनक उवाच कस्य हेतोर्निजग्राह कलिं दिग्विजये नृपः नृदेव चिन्नदृक्शूद्रकोऽसौ तत्कृध्यतां महाभाग यदि कृष्णकथाश्रयम्.
The third line,
तत्कथ्यतां महाभाग. शौनक उवाच कस्य हेतोर्निजग्राह कलिं दिग्विजये नृपः न्यदेव चिन्नदृक्शूद्रकोऽसौ यपदाहनद तत्कथ्यतां महाभाग यदि कृष्णकथाश्रयम्.
शौनक उवाच कस्य हेतोर्निजग्राह कलिं दिग्विजये नृपः नृदेव चिन्नदृक्शूद्रकोऽसौ यः पदाहनत् तत्कथ्यतां महाभाग यदि कृष्णकथाश्रयम्. शौनक उवाच कस्य हेतोर्निजग्राह कलिं दिग्विजये नृपः नृदेव चिन्नदृक्शूद्रकोऽसौ यः पदाहनत् तत्कथ्यतां महाभाग यदि कृष्णकथाश्रयम्.
अथवास्य पदाम्भोज put a plus मकरन्द लिहां सतां किमन्यैर् असदालापैः. That r you can break it. Kimanyair asadalapaihi. So the r that is there, put a visarga comma. Next word starts with a a. Ayusho yadasadvyayah. अथवास्य पदाम्भोज मकरन्द लिहां सतां किमन्यैरसधालापैः आयुषो यदसद्व्ययः.
अथवास्य पदाम्भोज मकरन्द लिहां सदां किमन्यैरसदालापैः आयुषो यदसद्व्ययः. अथवास्य पदाम्भोज मकरन्द लिहां सदां किमन्यैरसदालापैः आयुषो यदसद्व्ययः.
अथवास्य पदाम्भोज मकरन्द लिहां सतां किमन्यैरसदालापैः आयुषो यदसद्व्ययः. अथवास्य पदाम्भोज मकरन्द लिहां सतां किमन्यैरसदालापैः आयुषो यदसद्व्ययः.
क्षुद्रायुषां नृणाम् अंग मर्त्यानां ऋतम् इच्छताम्. You can break that mr if you want. मर्त्यानां ऋतम् इच्छताम् इहोपहूतो भगवान् मृत्युशामित्र कर्मणि. क्षुद्रायुषां नृणामंग मर्त्यानां ऋतमिच्छताम् इहोपहूतो भगवान् मृत्युशामित्र कर्मणि.
क्षुद्रायुषां नृणामंग मर्त्यानामृतमिच्छताम् इहोपहूतो भगवान् मृत्युशामित्रकर्मणि. क्षुद्रायुषां नृणामंग मर्त्यानामृतमिच्छताम् इहोपहूतो भगवान् मृत्युशामित्रकर्मणि.
क्षुद्रायुषां नृणामंग मर्त्यानामृतमिच्छताम् इहोपहूतो भगवान् मृत्युशामित्रकर्मणि. क्षुद्रायुषां नृणामंग मर्त्यानामृतमिच्छताम् इहोपहूतो भगवान् मृत्युशामित्रकर्मणि.
न कश्चिन् म्रियते तावद् यावदास्त इहान्तकः एतदर्थं हि भगवान्. So in न you put a in next word starts with a आहूतः परमर्षिभिः अहो नृलोके पीयेत हरि लीलामृतं वचः. न कश्चिन्म्रियते तावद् यावदास्त इहान्तकः एतदर्थं हि भगवान् आहूतः परमर्षिभिः अहो नृलोके पीयेत हरिलीलामृतं वचः
न कश्चिन्म्रियते तावद् यावदास्त इहान्तकः एतदर्थं हि भगवान् आहूतः परमर्षिभिः अहो नृलोके पीयेद हरिलीलामृतं वचः न कश्चिन्म्रियते तावद् यावदास्त इहान्तकः एतदर्थं हि भगवान् आहूतः परमर्षिभिः अहो नृलोके पीयेद हरिलीलामृतं वचः
न कश्चिन्म्रियते तावद् यावदास्त इहान्तकः एतदर्थं हि भगवान् आहूतः परमर्षिभिः अहो नृलोके पीयेत हरिलीलामृतं वचः न कश्चिन्म्रियते तावद् यावदास्त इहान्तकः एतदर्थं हि भगवान् आहूतः परमर्षिभिः अहो नृलोके पीयेत हरिलीलामृतं वचः.
We'll do two more and stop today. Mandasya manda prajnasya, vayo mandayushascha vai nidraya hriyate naktam, diva cha vyartha karmabhihi. Mandasya manda prajnasya vayo mandayushascha vai nidraya hriyate naktam, diva cha vyartha karmabhihi.
मन्दस्य मन्दप्रज्ञस्य वयो मन्दायुषश्च वै निद्रया ह्रियते नक्तं दिवाजव्यर्थकर्मभिः मन्दस्य मन्दप्रज्ञस्य वयो मन्दायुषश्च वै निद्रया ह्रियते नक्तं दिवाजव्यर्थकर्मभिः
मन्दस्य मन्दप्रज्ञस्य वयो मन्दायुषश्च वै निद्रया ह्रियते नक्तं दिवा च व्यर्थकर्मभिः मन्दस्य मन्दप्रज्ञस्य वयो मन्दायुषश्च वै निद्रया ह्रियते नक्तं दिवा च व्यर्थकर्मभिः.
सूतौ वाचा यदा परीक्षित कुरु जांगले शृणोत्, कलिं प्रविष्टं निज चक्रवर्तिते निशम्य वार्ताम् अनति. If you want to break it, or you can say together. वार्ताम् अनति प्रियां ततः, शरासनं संयुग शौण्डिराददे. सूतमुवाच यथा परीक्षित कुरु जांगले शृणोत्, कलिं प्रविष्टं निज चक्रवर्तिते निशम्य वार्तामनति प्रियां ततः शरासनं संयुग शौण्डिराददे.
सूत उवाच यदा परीक्षित कुरु जाङ्गले शृणोद्, कलिं प्रविष्टं निज चक्रवर्तिते निशम्य वार्तामनतिप्रियां ततः शरासनं संयुग शौण्डिराददे. सूत उवाच यदा परीक्षित कुरु जाङ्गले शृणोद्, कलिं प्रविष्टं निज चक्रवर्तिते निशम्य वार्तामनतिप्रियां ततः शरासनं संयुग शौण्डिराददे.
सूत उवाच यदा परीक्षित कुरु जाङ्गले शृणोत्, कलिं प्रविष्टं निज चक्रवर्तिते निशम्य वार्तामनति प्रियां ततः शरासनं संयुग शौण्डिराददे. सूत उवाच यदा परीक्षित कुरु जाङ्गले शृणोत्, कलिं प्रविष्टं निज चक्रवर्तिते निशम्य वार्तामनति प्रियां ततः शरासनं संयुग शौण्डिराददे.
ओम श्री हरे नमः. श्री हरे नमः. श्री हरे नमः. गोपिका जीवन स्मरणं गोविंदा गोविंद. सद्गुरुनाथ महाराज की जय. कायेन वाचा मनसेन्द्रियैर्वा बुद्ध्यात्मना वा प्रकृते स्वभावात् करोमि यत् सकलं परस्मै नारायणायेति समर्पयामि. Thank you, everyone. Like I said, next two weekends I'm traveling, but one weekend I'll have the class. I just don't know which one it will be. So I'll message you somewhere in the middle of the week. So when I was looking at the list, we still have to chant from chapter 10, right? So 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. right? So I'll add 14 and 15 also to the list so people can sign up. I think few people, Savita and others, have not signed up, right? They were not there. So the one of the classes you all chant from 10 to 15, and in the other class we'll finish the 16th one. Okay.
Great. Thank you, Rajesh. Have a
Okay.
great
Thank
day.
you.
Rajesh.
Thank you, Rajesh.
Thank you.
Bye.